Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Eric Straight. I am a certified sommelier with the Court of Master Sommeliers, as well as holding the WSET diploma. And I am coming to you again on behalf of Saratoga Eagle Sales and Service to discuss another one of their delicious wines in their wine and spirits portfolio. This one is coming to you from Fiuza Winery, located out of the Tejo region in Portugal. This is their premium red, which is 100% Alicante Bouschet. The vintage is 2015. So what is Alicante Bouschet? So Alicante Bouschet is a tincture grape, meaning that the color of its juice is actually colored, as opposed to most other red wines that you see, whose juice is clear, and the only way to impart that color is through skin contact. This was a crossing that was developed in 1855 by a gentleman, a French enologist by the name of Henri Bouschet. So he developed the original clone, which is called Alicante Henri Bouschet, in 1855. The other important clone that he developed was Alicante Bouschet number 2 in 1865. Most vineyards that are planted with Alicante Bouschet right now are considered a blend of both. They did not have DNA profiling at that time, so for simplicity's sake, everything was just referred to as Alicante Bouschet. As far as Portugal goes, since this is where this wine is from, it was thought to be introduced into southern Portugal, specifically the Tejo region, where this wine is from, just before the 1950s by a gentleman by the name of John Reynolds, whose family owned Harada de Machado. So just a quick note on Portuguese wine history. The Portuguese have actually been producing wine since before the Greek and Romans. In the 1930s, Portugal was under more of an authoritarian, right-wing kind of leadership with government, and was like that for 40 so years. So things like wine production was all regulated by the government. And one of the easiest ways to do that was through something called a co-op, where you had a bunch of farmers bring grapes to one centralized facility. They would pump out one or two generalized type of wines, which was then able to be sold and issued by the government. 1974 kind of saw a little bit of a change in things, though, as Portugal then moved towards more of a democratic style of government. And then it wasn't until 1986 that Portugal joined the European Union, which essentially led to the collapse of co-ops having a monopolization on wine production and allowed for the introduction of smaller, more independent producers to develop and produce wine. So, like we said, this wine is from Portugal. It is from the Tejo region. So, I don't know how clearly you can see on this map, but this is Lisbon right here. So, if you go just east of Lisbon, you're going to find Tejo, which is this region right here. So, probably one of the larger wine producing regions in Portugal. It is characterized by a continental climate. So you have hot, dry summers, followed by like very cold, not so wet, but drier winters as well. Tejo is 100% landlocked. The one major geographical feature that does characterize this area is the Tejo River. So you're looking at most of your vineyards being grown along this vineyard for irrigation purposes. So while it does supply irrigation for vineyards, you're also looking at fairly fertile alluvial soils composed primarily of clay and sand. So in general, you're looking at a region that produces wines of a lot of quantity that can seem a little bit generic. unless you're looking at producers that tend to be a little bit more hands-on with their winemaking, as Fiuza is. I guess we should also differentiate now. Tejo, you'll see, is listed as both a DO, which is your higher form of classification of Portuguese wine, or an IGP, which is a more regional wine. So both wines can come from the same region. It's just what type of winemaking standards they adhere to and what rules they choose to follow. This is a regional wine, but don't let that discount anything as far as quality goes. So the wine itself, this is a family-run winery that also does estate bottling. It was formed in 1985, so right around that time that the European Union chose to accept Portugal as one of its members. It is a project that is done between the Fiuza family and an Australian enologist slash winemaker whose name is Peter Bright. They do two other lines of wine, which Saratoga Eagle does carry. Their entry level is called the Oceanus, which the red on that is a blend of Touriga Nacional and Cabernet Sauvignon. They also do another wine called the Three Costas, which is Cabernet Sauvignon, Touriga Nacional, as well as Syrah. So as far as the wine itself goes, I don't know if you're going to be able to, again, see the color, but this wine has a fairly purple core, which fades to a medium intensity ruby rim, but not much rim variation here, okay? So for a wine that was made in 2015, you'll see that this still looks fairly youthful, which is surprising. A couple notes on the wine making. This is fermented in traditional cement lagars, which you'll usually see in the region of Port to the north of Portugal, where you have those foot-trodden grapes. So fermented in cement lagars. The aging, though, you'll see more of a modern take on this in this respect. It is done in a mixture of French and American oak, all of which is new, for 8 months, and you'll definitely smell that on the nose. So on the nose, so I mean, this wine is intoxicating on the nose. I could smell this all day. You've got a little bit of the volatile acidity, so kind of like something that reminds me a little bit of balsamic vinegar. Some of that funky, like Brettanomyces. Lots of black and blue fruits, specifically like blackberry jam. But then you've also got like this fresh tilled soil, and then some obvious notes of oak, so like cedar, nutmeg. I also get a lot of like eucalyptus and kind of like mentholy mint notes on this, as well as some notes of dark chocolate and like pink peppercorns. So on the palate, I'd say tannins are more in that like medium, but more verging towards medium plus side as far as quantity goes. I'd say they're more medium grained or not so fine grained, but they also have a little bit of a chalky texture. So again, you know, confirming those blackberry jam notes that I get on the nose. I'm almost getting more of like a stewed strawberry essence as well. And then like really fresh blackberry juice or like black cherry juice. I would say the acid on this wine is more in the medium plus to high end, but I think it gives brightness and freshness and kind of also helps carry that length. So alcohol, it says 14%. I am drinking this slightly warmer than it should be. So served at the proper temperature, which I would say would be 58 degrees. I think the alcohol is going to seem a little bit more sound and subtle. I don't find it warm. I just think that it sticks out a little bit more than other components. But again, at proper temperature, this wine should be perfect. I think that this would be an amazing wine to offer somebody who likes those big body California Cabernets that can be a little bit oak dominant up front. I think that this kind of has that same type of fruit profile to it. It's got those notes of like sweet oak spice, but for a fraction of the cost as you're going to pay for anything from California made at this quality. For those of you that are, I guess, point followers, this one did receive 91 points from Wine Enthusiast. Wholesale pricing on this is $12.33 per bottle, and that is net. So there are no further discounts on this. This is on one case buy, and it is a 12 case. Volume size is 750 milliliters for each bottle. So again, if this is something that sounds like it may interest you, stop by your local retailer or restaurants when they get back up and running and request the bottle and see what you think.